Alright guys, so I'm coming down the street, and when I get to the end of this street here, there'll be a stop line and then a crosswalk. Alright guys, so I actually stop between the stop line and the first line of the crosswalk. So I go a little beyond the stop line. Alright, now I'm going to take a right here, and as I'm taking the right, I see this woman on the sidewalk. I anticipate that she's going to cross the street, so I stop, but I stop slightly in the crosswalk, guys, and that's illegal. Alright, I looked it up. Alright guys, so right here, no driver of a vehicle shall pass any other vehicle which has stopped at a marked crosswalk to permit a pedestrian to cross. Nor shall any such operator enter a marked crosswalk while a pedestrian is crossing. Now, I actually enter it before the pedestrian crosses, so let me just look at the footage. So I believe I enter the crosswalk before the pedestrian gets into the crosswalk. Let's see. Okay, so here she is right here. Now, I'm looking both ways, and I see her here. I look left again. Nothing's coming, so I proceed. Okay, so she's actually in the crosswalk, guys. Alright, so I stop in the crosswalk. Okay, now, she doesn't go in front of me, she walks behind me. So whenever there is a crosswalk, you should always walk in the crosswalk. Alright guys, it's safer, and it is the law. The pedestrians should stay in the crosswalk. Now, I came across a video where there was the Boston police, Quincy police, and they were asking pedestrians why they didn't walk across the street in the crosswalk. Alright, I will link that below. This is illegal right here, guys, what I'm doing. Alright, I probably should have kept going, but I stopped because I saw her entering into the crosswalk. So I remained stopped, and then I go. Now I'm coming up this side street here. When I get to the stop line, I think I actually go over the stop line too. I have to be more mindful of that. I've been doing that lately. I think it's because of my winter gloves, guys. They're so thick, and it's hard to grab the front brake with those thick gloves on. So with spring coming, spring is coming, but I'm not going to be reaching for my front brake anytime soon, guys. So I'll keep you posted on that situation. So as I stop again between the stop line and the first line in the crosswalk. And then I look left and I see this guy about to cross. Now, rather than this guy crossing in the crosswalk, he decides to go behind me. You'll see me motion to him with my arm in my shadow. So I'm waiting for him to cross, but he's going behind me. And you'll see the pedestrian in my left mirror in just a second. Okay, so there he is, guys. You could see a little bit of his coat before, but there he is. And then you can see him in my right mirror. Alright, so he chose to walk behind me. A pedestrian should always walk in the crosswalk, guys. Just for safety purposes, you know? I would like to know how much it's costing the state of Massachusetts to paint crosswalks. Alright guys, because it doesn't seem like anyone's walking in the crosswalks anymore. They're just crossing the street, and this crosswalk's available, and there was a crosswalk here, but he chose to go behind me. Alright, so if he got hit outside the crosswalk, they would have asked him, why didn't you cross the street in the crosswalk? If a crosswalk is available, always use the crosswalk. Alright guys, so section 11, marked crosswalks yielding right-of-way to pedestrians. Okay, so this paragraph right here has to be the longest sentence I've ever seen recently anyways. When traffic control signals are not in place or not in operation, the driver of a vehicle shall yield the right-of-way, slowing down or stopping if need be, so to yield to a pedestrian crossing the roadway within a crosswalk marked in accordance with standards established by the Department of Highways, if the pedestrian is on that half of the traveled part of the way on which the vehicle is traveling, or if the pedestrian approaches from the opposite half of the traveled part of the way to within 10 feet of that half of the traveled part of the way on which said vehicle is traveling. Now that's a very, very confusing paragraph or sentence. Whoever violates any provision of this section shall be punished by a fine of not more than $200. I don't know why they just didn't say, if a pedestrian is in the crosswalk, stop and let the pedestrian cross the street. Alright guys? So whenever a pedestrian is injured by a motor vehicle in a marked crosswalk, the Department of State Police or the Municipal Police Department, with jurisdiction of the street, in consultation with Department of State Police if deemed appropriate, shall conduct an investigation into the cause of the injury and any violation of this section or other law or ordinance, and shall issue the appropriate civil or criminal citation or file an application for the appropriate criminal complaint, if any. This section shall not limit the ability of a district attorney or the attorney general to seek an indictment in connection with the operation of a motor vehicle which causes injury or death and which violates this section. Okay, so the General Law, Chapter 89, Section 11, right here. If a motorist is approaching a crosswalk, pedestrians have the right of way if they are in the path of a motorist or if they are within 10 feet of the halfway point in the road. So basically what that sentence is saying, that long sentence, that when the pedestrian is within 10 feet of the vehicle's lane of travel in the opposite lane, that vehicle must stop. Alright guys? I think that's very, very confusing. I think they should just change that law, and if a pedestrian is in the crosswalk, stop and let them cross. I will link that video and you can check that out as well. Alright guys, so that's going to do it. I thought I'd do a short video on crosswalks because each night on the news, so many people are getting hit trying to cross the road, guys. It's really, really unbelievable. It's almost like every night someone gets hit crossing the road. So always be aware, always be looking out for the pedestrian that's trying to cross the road, guys. Alright? So that they can get across the street safely. Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. And why did the whale cross the ocean? To get to the other tide. Alright guys, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.